Listen, Bud Crawford is like your big brother. You've sparred with him countless times. Errol Spence Jr., that's your guy as well. Now you know these guys are going to fight this fall. How do we see a Errol Spence Jr. Bud Crawford fight playing out in the ring?
What's good, family? So we got some crazy breaking news right now regarding your man Spence and Crawford. Let's get straight to it. Your man Brian Custer, he let slip. Oops, quick leak. Yeah, PBC insider leak, 100%.
Listen, Bud Crawford is like your big brother. You've sparred with him countless times. Errol Spence Jr., that's your guy as well. Now you know these guys are going to fight this fall. You've sparred with him countless times. Errol Spence Jr., that's your guy as well. Now you know these guys are going to fight this fall.
There you go, then there's the breaking news you heard there from the horse's mouth, letting it leak. Now, before we go into my opinion on this PBC Insider Executive leak, let's give a shout out to my doggy Anthony for coming through and boosting up the super chat a few weeks ago. Yeah, one of them missed ones. Big love to that general. And now we can move on expeditiously to today's breaking story. We just heard there from Custer. And for you man who don't know, who is Brian Custer? Brian Custer, he the equivalent of Adam Smith in the UK. Yeah, he one of them media, PBC, Showtime cats. But at the end of the day, Espinosa, this cat, Brian Custer, works directly under Espinosa and the whole Showtime shtick. Now, you heard the quotes at the start of the video. Here says, we know that fight is on. Spence versus Crawford is done for the fall. Now, obviously, Shakur Stevenson being good friends with Spence and good friends with Crawford, that's insider knowledge, isn't it? And bear in mind, often when you see these interviews, they've already been on the call for 20 minutes before, setting it all up, if you get what I'm saying. Why do I bring that up? Well, they would have been saying, what do you think about the fight being done for fall 2022? Do you understand? And by the way, people who aren't from the US, from what I understand, the fall is like Q4. So September, October, November, December, that kind of time. Or October, November, December. Yeah? So, Custer. And what you notice is, you don't see Shakur Stevenson say, what do you mean it's done for the fall? Do you understand? So like I said, it implies they've both got some foreknowledge. Because, for example, if Shakur Stevenson could have heard something to the contrary, I haven't heard that fight's done. And if you hadn't, or if you're closer to Terence Crawford, as I believe Shakur Stevenson to be, he could say, no, the fight ain't done for the fall. What are you talking about? He ain't say that. Yeah, it was almost like a silent admission or a silent acknowledgement. Yeah. So you got Shakur Stevenson, an insider, and then the uber insider, the executive level insider, Custer himself, letting it slip. Now, is it possible he's just speculating? But he doesn't say it in a speculating way. He didn't say, we hope the fight's done in the fall. He says, now we know. Yeah, now we know the fight's done in the fall. Who knows that? Because I don't. Most of us don't. Do you understand? So it's one of them ones. And as I said, the language he uses really does imply some foreknowledge that the fight's done. He didn't say, the fight's looking like it's done for the fall. He said, now we know the fight is in the fall. Not, now we know, now we hope the fight's for the fall, or it's looking like the fall, it's for the fall. Which, in negotiation circumstances, there may have been, or now we've heard that from Custer, the Showtime PBC insider, it's highly likely there's been some sort of bout agreement signed, or some pre-agreement signed. Often how these deals go is, they sign off on the macro parts, so the salary, or the pay, or whatever else, and then they work out all the details, like the specific date and the specific venue. I'm pretty sure there's something called a term sheet or something like that. Either way, there's normally 2 parts to it. You get the big parts out. For example, think about in the past when we've heard about, who was it? When PBC sent an offer to Canelo. Yeah? They didn't send an offer to Canelo for the date and the venue. They sent an offer to Canelo to big money. Okay, we'll pay you 50 mil to fight Charlo and 50 mil to fight Benavidez, wasn't it? That's what I'm understanding from what Custer's said. That's what's been signed so far. They've got the money out of the way and now they're nailing in on the details. That's what I'm hoping for. This is all up from my book, yeah. I was about to do a video being critical of Spence, and I might even do that anyway, being critical of Spence and Crawford, because you man know me recently, I've been coming down hard on some of these zesty fighters. Why? Because like I said before, we never hear about no problems when these cats are fighting bums. The fight go through quick. Super duper quick, the fight gets done. The minute it's a good fight. I mean, I got a video coming soon, for example. Errol Spence airing out the fans, saying fans need to stop talking about this Crawford fight. You don't know anything about it. Our fans need to stop speculating. Listen, the reason we're speculating is because you are taking 5 months to get a fight done. That normally, when you're fighting these bums, the fight gets done quick. Yeah? So don't tell us about what we're doing wrong. You, man, treat the bums the same way you treat the good fight. Sign them quickly. That's what you want to do, and they won't be listening. If the fight was signed, we wouldn't have nothing else to speculate on. Oops. So take some responsibility for it yourself. And honestly, yeah, I wouldn't even mind. You wouldn't hear me say nothing, yeah, if it took 3-4 months to get all the fights done. Because that would just mean, well, YB, that's the process. But the fact, these cats, time and time again, have no problem. David, not just Spence and Crawford, all of them. These bum fights get done. They can literally get 3 bum fights signed in the time it takes to do 1/10 of this Crawford fight. We don't even hear about it. Let's be real now. When David Benavidez or whoever else fights a bum, yeah, you don't even hear about the negotiations. It's just on. You understand? Just on. No problems. And yet, I find it classic or find it ironic that these big fights are for the most money, but yet they take the longest. The only reason that can be is because people are nervous, people are scared. Bottom line. Because it can't be about the pay. How is it David Benavidez can get paid 500 grand or $1 million to fight a bum, no problem, but yet he gets offered 10 or 5 for a real fight, and there's problems and taking time? It can't be the money that's the issue, can it? It can't be the money that's slowing it down. There's more money than ever. So what is it? People's asses are twitching. And I don't care whose ass is twitching, because to be honest with you, so far, we haven't heard either side say anything. And I told you, man, a few weeks ago that if this fight does fall through, and we don't hear from either of the fighters, that will mean they're both happy for the fight not to happen. Look at Jake Paul and Tommy Fury recently. Jake Paul wants to fight, and you hear from him information. Tommy Fury disappeared. You ain't hear nothing. And that's what happens. Often when these big fights don't happen, you don't hear from either fighter. That's because they're happy for the big fights not to happen. I mean, look at Tank Davis. Tank Davis, when Devin Haney had a fight booked, he woofing. Yeah, I want Devin. Yeah, I'm leaving Mayweather. Now, he's got the Rolly Romero fight out of the way, and he's sold all of his scam pay-per-views. Where Tank at? Oh, we don't know. But you can bet your bottom dollar in 6 months' time, when he fights once a year next year, the fight against a bum will be done quick. Yeah, it'll be locked in. It goes quiet. It's what happens every time, yeah, with the PBC. Well, not just them, but in general, yeah. It goes quiet. You don't hear nothing. And then Benavidez versus bum. Yeah, Tank versus bum. And then they say, the next one. But you've been saying the next one for 5 fights. What do you mean the next one? Do it now. I'm sick of hearing about the next one. Do it now. Yeah? The next one is cool 10 years ago. We ain't trying to hear about the next one. Yeah? That's what we're not trying to hear no more. To be honest with you, I've been trying to not hear that. Now, in all fairness to Spence and Crawford, Custer says it's signed. I hope it is. Yeah? Because like I said, the term sheet or the basic part of it, if that's done, or the hard part as such, the hard part is really normally the money. The date and the venue, that's not normally the hard part. So really, if Custer's saying The money's been determined. Because I don't see, for example, if Crawford and Spence are still going back and forth over money parts, how can Custer say, now we know? Because we don't know that. He said between two insiders, he said having a conversation with another insider, we now know it's on for the full. It'd be impossible for him to say that if Spence and Crawford are still bickering about percentages, because there'd be absolutely nothing done, would it? They'd be still in the very start of negotiations. At the very least, from what I understand, the money's been sorted out. They're now going through the date and the venue and whatnot, all the other little terms. But that said, these little bits and bobs shouldn't take long. We should hear about this fight in the next 2 weeks, because to be honest, the Fall, that's only 3 months away. Well, the middle of the Fall's only 3 months away. This kind of fight normally gets built for 3-4 months. Not built, but you know what I mean? It's out there. We're waiting for it for 3 months. So, listen, man, this is good news. I'm just hoping for their sake it get done. Because I ain't trying to see Terence Crawford versus Amir Khan no more. To be honest, I'm not even trying to see Errol Spence versus Ugas no more either. It's clear that these two cats are at the top of the pile. Yeah? And throughout history, the crazy thing is, it takes like 5 years to get one of these good fights. Back in the day, Leonard and Hearns and these men was all squabbling it up. Do you know what I mean? 2-3 rematches and mixing it all up. These man, we get one. I mean, look at, for example, Pacquiao versus Floyd. What? We literally waited 10 years for that, or 5-6 years for that, and got one fight. As I said, back in the day, these men was all mixing it all up and 2-3 fights together, and we get one fight and then, you know what I mean? It's just all a bit, I don't know, it's all a bit played out for me now. Yeah. All this messing around for one fight we should be getting anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? The way they treat it is like it's a treat for the fans. Like they're doing us a favour. No, that's what you're supposed to be doing. These fights should be in and out. We should really be talking about Spence and Crawford 3 right now, to be honest with you. Yeah? Anyway, man, let's see how it plays out. I'm praying for their sake that Custer's telling the truth. Because if Custer's capping, or if Custer's just speculating like the rest of us, which I don't think he would be doing, but if he is, God help us, man. God help us, 100%, no doubt.